All right, today's video is going to be the call of the day, not the dumb call of the day, but the call of the day. This one might take me a little bit too long, but trust me, it's worth it. So, there's a lot of hoopla on my district at work today. There was apparently a very dangerous man on the loose. So dangerous that he had federal felony warrants for his arrest for like weapons trafficking. He was a very bad dude. He was such a bad dude that there were multiple federal task forces on my side of town looking for him. They were out on foot. They had dogs. They were in plane cars. They were everywhere. They even had a drone, like not like a predator drone, but like one of those four little helicopter drones, like flying around, like looking for him. And every time an officer was dispatched to this particular area where they thought they were looking for this very bad, very dangerous guy, the dispatcher would come over the air and say, "Hey, just to let you know, these task forces are looking for this guy. Here's his name." They described him as wearing a bright blue zip-up hoodie with gray pants, white socks, and was wearing one slipper or slide or sandal or something like that. Nothing. Sorry, my dog's about to start barking. Nothing on his other foot. And I heard this description go out multiple times today. So I was doing my job like I normally do, just responding to calls for service, and it was lunchtime. So, I started heading back to the sub. My sub is on the south end of my precinct. I was hanging out on the north end of the precinct, so I'm driving southbound on this one road. So I'm looking at my dogs, and there's this dude walking northbound and, on the side of the road. He's wearing a gray zip-up hoodie with gray pants, and I noticed he had one blue sock pulled halfway up his leg, and on the other foot, it was completely bare. The guy also had bandages all the way up his legs, and I drove by him, and I looked over at him, and he goes, "Hey, officer." I said, "Hey, man, how you doing?" And I kept driving, and then I got on the radio, and I was like, "Hey, wasn't there something about some guy with felony warrants or something with one shoe on?" And the dispatcher comes back on, "Yeah, like these three federal task forces are all looking for this guy, and here's his description." I go, "Well, looks like he changed his clothes, and I've got him right here and on X Street." So I flipped my car around. I drove up next to him. I was like, "Hey, buddy, can you do me a favor and hold on for a second?" I had him come over and sit on the bumper of my car. I'm looking at this guy. He had, I can't remember the name of the word, but his legs were so swollen from infection. Is it cellulosis? Like his calves were bigger than both of my thighs combined. Like if this guy tried to run, his legs would have exploded. He was unable to walk more than like an hour per mile pace. That's how slow this guy was walking. So he hobbles his way over to my car, and the dispatcher's freaking out. All these people are freaking out on the air, trying to make their way to me. I can hear all the chaos. They're asking me if I've got him. I'm like, "What's this guy's name?" And after I asked for his name, I was like, "Crap, I haven't even asked him for his name yet." So I'm like, "What's your name, dude?" He gives me a first name, and then the last name gives me matches the name that just came over my radio from the dispatcher. And I was like, "You're lying to me, dude." I was like, "You got warrants." He's like, "Man, F that. I ain't got no warrants." So I'm just standing there while he's sitting on my bumper. And he was like, "Can I at least smoke a cigarette before I go?" And I didn't have a lighter. He didn't have a lighter. So we were just standing there awkwardly. I wasn't going to cuff him and put him in my car because he wasn't mine. He belonged to somebody else. And I was going to let them come and get him. So as I'm standing there, and I couldn't like write down his name or jump in the computer and run him because I didn't, I didn't want him to run away. So I'm just standing there with him waiting for another car so I can put him in handcuffs, put him in the backseat of the car, and do my job. Then I look down the road and I see these two guys literally sprinting down the road at me. Two officers that work for my organization, were running full speed up the road. And I got the guy sitting on my bumper directly right in front of me. And I looked down, I was like, "Hey, why are you guys running?" And they guys are like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. This guy's sitting here on my bumper and I don't know who he is. I guess he's got some kind of warrant or something." And they're like, "Yeah, he's supposed to be armed and dangerous." So they go to cuff him. And I was like, "Don't cuff him. wait for the task force, use their cuffs, because once you put your cuffs on somebody, that somebody now belongs to you. And this wasn't my somebody. I wasn't looking for this guy. They were looking for him. But then the task force came. He ended up getting transported in an ambulance to the hospital because his infections were so bad. And the task force agreed to take him off of my hands. But it was absolutely hilarious because there was I don't know, let's call them like squads of like 10 to 15 people, like 3 squads of 10 to 15 people driving all over my side of town. And they were literally in the woods, walking through creek beds, looking under bridges, everywhere. They had every resource available looking for this guy. And I was just driving on the road and he's like, "Hey officer, how are you?" And that's how I got my hands on some big bad guy with federal warrants for his arrest. That was the run of the day.